Okay, welcome everybody to Coffee Talk with Prolifics. Today I have with me someone I consider to be a good friend. It's the global channel leader for Talend worldwide, Rolf Heimes. Rolf, how are you doing today?
Thank you, very good. But I got my cup of coffee, so I hope everybody is coffee native. Welcome everybody from the Bay Area, Pacifica, which is just south of San Francisco, and very excited to spend the time with you.
Excellent. You seem like you charged up.
Muted.
Obviously, I haven't seen you since February at the Talend Engage event when we were both in New Orleans before everything kind of collapsed on us.
I can't believe how long it's ago. Yes, we've been in lockdown. I stopped traveling late February to be on the safe side, but I can't wait to get back out there again.
You and me both. I tell you what, that was a heck of an event. I really enjoyed it. The entertainment, we certainly got to go out and have a couple of cocktails, listen to some fantastic live music. So I look back at that moment and say, if we could just switch back on to that, I'll be a happy camper.
Same here, same here. And I was glad that we could introduce you to all of our new leadership team. And we're going to see a lot of change with the new leadership team, so I'm excited about that too.
Perfect. Yeah, and it was good to meet your leadership team. I think you guys are kind of primed for some really nice growth, but you also have good momentum, I know, from the board level on down, as well as your branding, your messaging, everything that's going on. So we're excited, very happy to be a partner. So I'm going to go ahead and fire off our first question at you, Rolf. And again, I know you're always candid. So first question for you is around diminished capital, right? We are in these COVID times, our companies and customers and prospects out there, they're dealing with capital expense budgets that are shrinking. They're shrinking in regards to their spend for technology. They are becoming a little bit more insulated somehow. And what I'd like to know is, from your perspective, how are you reacting to that? You've got a large sales team, you're a global organization. How do you kind of inform your partners and your sales community to address that challenge specifically?
It's a really good question. Thanks for asking it. It goes a little bit in line with what I started off a little bit. It is data has become an even more important asset. And if you want to work with that asset, you need to understand that asset really, really well. Now, where probably more than 6 months back, companies were starting digital transformation journeys, and they were like, yeah, we have to do something. Today, our customers are so much focused on saying there's a couple of things that they always want to see. And it's really around reduce customer churn, reduce cost, increase margin, increase sales. Those are like the 4 top use cases that we're seeing where customers are really investing heavily into their analytics journey with their data. Now, in order to get there, you need to understand where is the data all distributed within the company, and how do I find it, and how do I make use and sense of it. So hand in hand with these needs goes a governance strategy. And that's what we're seeing more and more. And what's really interesting is people are saying, well, travel industry or food industry is going downhill right now. We don't necessarily feel that way, because these companies are now required to make more sense of their data, and they are investing to understand and ensure that they can build a sustainable future. So we're seeing that, and we're seeing companies probably going with smaller projects, but multiple projects where they want to see the outcome based as quickly as possible. And that's what we're seeing with our partners as well. And frequently we're seeing this as full stack approaches, where a partner comes in and says, okay, we're going to work on one of the cloud providers. We're going to work with a database, could be Snowflake, could be EMR or Synapse. We want to have a front end, and we need to manage the data somehow, going from an ingestion into our S3 bucket, sorry, and then govern all of that. That's what we're seeing, and customers are extremely focused on that journey, and it's going on. Smaller slices, but a lot of small slices.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Rolf. And I think I'm seeing the same thing across, of course, our customer channel as well. I mean, your goal in life as the channel leader globally for Talend is to help partners like myself become equipped and engaged in the right sales plays. Obviously, cost optimization is one of the hottest sales plays for helping our customers minimize that capital budget that we just talked about, right? And my goal in life is to go find new family members of the Talend family to ensure that everyone's doing that round trip and we're all happy. So that addresses a point, because you touched on governance a little bit in that first question. So one of the things that we're seeing in the market is a continued push on data governance, and data governance specifically focused around both the compliance side of the house and the business optimization side of the house, right? So we know that in your state, in California, the compliance side of the house is not slowing down. Your Attorney General has stated quite clearly that regardless of what's going on in the country today, we will have this law for people to protect and control their personal information. And so that's the compliance side. And we know, when we take advantage of things like the Talend technology, the data fabric solutions, the data catalog and governance solutions, we can equip a customer with the core capabilities they need to not only become compliant, but also to utilize this in the future to be better governed organizations. So my next question is really, how do you see the approach, growth in the market space around data governance as a whole, with those two key things in mind, or those key areas of focus?
Yeah, that's a good question, because you're right. I did touch on it because it comes up again and again. Let me give you a quick example. I was talking to our governance, or one of our governance experts internally, the other day, and he brought something to my attention that I found really interesting. And if somebody wants to look it up, you may want to follow Steve Fazio, Fazio. He posted something a couple of weeks ago, I want to say 3 weeks ago, about a company in the medical healthcare space, and they were, as COVID was coming up and they were trying to give more clinical trial data, they immediately packaged up packages of data and started sending it out because it seemed to be the right thing at the right time. Well, little did they know at that moment in time when they did that, that data wasn't governed. They didn't understand the lineage. They didn't understand whether there was PII data involved. There was a lot of things that they're like, oh, we probably shouldn't have done that. And the interesting thing is we're seeing that more and more now, where companies are realizing that as they need to make better use of their data, they're now having to pedal back and understand their entire governance journey. And if the governance journey really is, where do I find my data? Can I trust that data? And how can I use that data? And how is the umbrella span across of all of that, so that as a CFO, I'm not with one foot in jail? I want to make sure that I can actually drive the best value to my customers without sharing inappropriate data, with making sure that PII data is stored, and understanding the entire lineage cycle behind it. So those are things that we're seeing more and more on the governance side. Governance is one of the key components, and catalog, or our data fabric, is exactly one of the ways that we're taking our customers on that journey.
That's fantastic, Rolf. I think I know you can't talk about roadmap and what's happening next, but I know that you guys are on a journey to continue to evolve for the customers that are out there. To your point, right, we had a customer call, a webinar around compliance and cocktails with one of our clients just a little while ago. And the reason why that her position was funded so heavily is she started assessing data, and she immediately ran into people's payroll data. And it's like, voila, there's my impetus. If this payroll data is accessible by everybody, there's going to be a problem. So we better take some action on it. And that organization is in turn turning towards, let's monetize what we know now and use that data for better business outcomes. And I think that's something that we continue to see with our customers. All right, now I'm going to go ahead.
One quick thought, because many of our customers, when they start this governance journey, make one fundamental mistake. And I actually dropped into that trap. I walked into that myself when I was just talking about it. It is about the regulatory compliance. It's about GDPR. If that's the only reason you want to be compliant and you want to invest into catalog and data governance, that's wrong. You need to look into where are you today, where do you want to be on your journey, and how can you make best use of that data. The governance process is something that should help as an overarching topic to that. But if you don't, as a company, make best use of your investments and understand that it's not only to be compliant, but it's also to understand your customers, your product, your support structure, stuff like that better, you are missing a huge and very important piece of that journey.
And I to echo your comments, I say it a little bit differently, but with the same kind of theme in mind, is if you know everything about your customer data, where it lives, what's out there, what's going on, just use your head a little bit, because you can certainly find other business use cases to take advantage of information. And a lot of organizations kind of race to comply, and they don't think about the bigger challenges. And the bigger challenge is, I can take advantage of this, and use it in multiple ways. And it's something that we see as kind of you have to keep pressing that on, that there's more than one use case. Once you understand your data, there's plenty.
Right. Fully agree.
All right, well, the next one should be a little more fun for you, because I was looking out at your website and just checking your taglines. Like our company, your company, we've got fantastic marketing teams. They're always driving these new messages, but I really like this one that kind of stuck in my craw, and that was give your organization the data it deserves, right? And it's kind of fundamentally sits us on top the message for your data fabric offering. And I know your data fabric offering is quite expansive. So I want to get your kind of 2 cents on how that message is resonating, because I really like it.
Okay, I like it too. And for those who don't know, we went through a complete rebranding of Talend over the last 3 months or something like that. And I do not want to turn this into a Talend sales thing, but I actually like our new color code and our new design. So if somebody hasn't seen it, time to look at it. It's a little bit different now. But the whole idea really behind it, the data a company deserves is trust is actually, as I said earlier, identifying your data sources, having the ability to ingest your data. Then understanding, is it trustworthy? Who can work with that data? Who is supposed to work with that data? And frequently we see situations in which democratization of data is something everybody talks about. And suddenly you have all these new users with all these new requirements, and they may not necessarily understand what they're seeing. So with that in mind, you suddenly are in a requirement to also understand the catalog side of the data, which helps you to interpret the data. Because bookings is a big word. What does bookings mean as a definition? What does revenue mean in a definition for a specific company? And if you're like Talend, we're a global organization, is the definition of revenue in USA the same definition as it is in France, as it is in any other country? Same goes with PII relevant data. Do we have the right definitions, and can we explain to the individual users within the company, what does this actually mean? How do I apply it? And then going into it also is, what's the lineage? Where does this data come from? Who touched it? Who changed it? And how can I make best use of it? And so if you think about it, the data a company deserves, obviously we would all say, well, we all deserve to have the best data in place. Well, the challenge really is, there's so many disparate sources of data that companies are building out over time. And things are getting more complex today. The amount of conversations that we're having with the so-called shadow IT, awesome conversation. A line of business says, I cannot wait for our IT department to do this or that, or help me with these or specific analytics requirements. So that's why we're going to go full-on cloud, and we're just going to do it because we can't wait. Well, immediately you're putting yourself at a risk because you can't govern that data. So with that said, you really need to understand and take a very holistic approach on it, so to really truly have data that the company deserves and that the company can govern. And that's the whole idea behind that. Find all your data, be able to interpret, govern, cleanse it, and then make best use of it. Does that help?
Yeah, I like it. It's kind of like, it's confidence, it's control. I know my information. I know what I can manipulate. You brought up does revenue mean the same thing in France as it does in Germany? I know you and I are old enough to know and remember carrying around Deutschmarks and francs and before the euro was there, when you had to cross every border. Kind of glad it's all EU now, but it was kind of fun my nephew now has all of my old legacy currency. I actually passed it off to him, said, you'll never remember this. You weren't born yet, but this was the currency of our people back in the day when we were doing business travel.
True, especially having left Europe now 11 years ago. So in case people don't know, my name sort of gives it away, and there's probably a little bit of accent in my English. I am German, and the D-Mark's gone. Nobody talks about that anymore. People don't. I know so many people who have never touched a D-Mark. It's really weird to me, because I actually, when we moved back from Texas to the Bay Area, I actually found a very old wallet of mine with still D-Marks inside, and there was Italian lira inside and Spanish peseta. Nobody talks about that stuff anymore.
Sure. Yeah, I remember buying coffee with Turkish lira. That'll be 2 million. I think the last one's going to be a real layup for you, and I think it differentiates you. And one of the things when I talk to customers about Talend, it's a simplification model, right? You have your functionality, but you also have a very simple approach to going about it. You just talked about one of your taglines, right? So the next one's really around your licensing model. So when I talk to customers, they're delighted by it, right? When a customer talks to me about, hey, did you see the Talend model? How does it work? And we say, it works like this, and they're very excited to hear that's the way you position your license. So can you talk a little bit about the Talend licensing model, why that works? Obviously, I can say with confidence it differentiates you in the field of players.
Oh, cool. That's good to hear. Thanks for that feedback. We need that type of feedback. That's very helpful. Let me take one quick step back. If I'm a customer today and I want to buy a piece of software, do I want to buy piecemeal and kind of figure out how everything works together, or am I looking for something that helps me, and without using a product name, but actually as a concept, use a data fabric that I can put across my company, so that I see from an ingestion perspective how data flows in, how I manage it and do the quality, all the way, and governance, we spoke about it, to sharing the data again through APIs. Now think about that. If you're a customer, you don't want to have to figure out all those individual steps to make all these things work together. And I think what's been really great at Talend is that we're taking this holistic fabric approach to help our customers there. Now, one of the things that we did way before others even started thinking about it, we're an ACV-based company. So it's annual contract value. It's not the big bang project. It's not let's start with $3 million before you even start a conversation. It's like, let's define the value that you're getting, that you need to have, and let's identify on your journey, on your data life cycle, what elements do you need to have to support your life cycle journey. And that's basically how our licensing model really works. There's no data tax involved. There's no connector tax involved. It is really defined by the amount of people that are actually working on the data. Now, if you have a huge data lake with terabytes and gigabytes of data, you shouldn't have to pay for that. That data is probably frequently dormant. But if you only have one person working on it, it's probably not worth to you very much. However, if you have a whole slew of people who are working on your data lake and are making best use of the data to drive your business, drive your analytics, understand where to go next, how to save costs, how to grow your company, that's where we believe it makes sense for you to invest into those people you're investing in those, and B, using the software really to drive that. And that's our approach. So it's developer-based, and to a degree, it's almost usage-based, if you want to look at it that way, because you're putting those developers in seats there. And that's our philosophy around data right now.
Perfect. That definitely gives your customers elasticity. They can play with modular in the way they use it. They can bulk up a team for specific projects and turn it back on low and simmer mode for other times of the year. So I think that's what customers want now. They don't want to be locked down. They want to have flexibility. They want to have they want to know you're coming at them with the right pricing and they have the right flexibility to do what they need to do to solve their business challenges.
It's that, and I want to add one more topic to it. I have, other than maybe some of the born in the cloud companies, yet to see a customer that is only on-prem or only cloud. They're all hybrid. And if they come to think about it, why wouldn't you? You want to have the ability to use the data that you have in your data center, as well as on your various clouds and SaaS applications. So you're living a hybrid world, and we as a vendor have to support that and have to enable you. And that's exactly what we're trying to replicate with our licensing model.
I agree. And I think that's where the world is moving, right? Everyone's moving to these ACV models you described, right? Everyone has the ability to deploy analytics projects in one cloud and integration projects in another cloud and a governance project in a third cloud. And they want to stitch all that together. I mean, just a few years ago, we all didn't know what DevOps and CI/CD meant. And now that's all everyone's talking about, is because they don't want to be bound to a hardware vendor. They don't want to be bound to being on premise, and they don't want to be bound to one cloud. Even look at our own personal data, right? I have a Google Cloud, an Apple Cloud, and I'm perfectly happy with certain bits of data in either place. So it's just the way the world is used to being now. So appreciate that, Rolf. Any questions for us? I think we're getting ready to wrap it up. I know we're right there in that half-hour mode. I know you're all jacked up on coffee. So anything else you want to talk about before we close out?
Let's see. Are there any? Can the attendees do they put something in Q&A? Is there something we could talk about? Susan or Pam?
Got nothing in the chat.
Okay, sorry, I can't see that because I got you on the screen, so I don't see everything.
That's okay.
It's really our recommendation to customers right now is use this COVID time to reflect on who do you want to be and how do you get where you want to go to. And it's really about now more than ever using this ability to train your people. Talent Academy is one of the things, but if it's not talent, if you're working with other vendors, this is the time to make sure that you train your employees. You can only be as good as your weakest link, essentially. So train those people. That's something that we're seeing, and we're putting a huge emphasis on it. We're investing a lot into building out better training assets. So this is, if customers and prospects are on this call and they're looking, so where do I invest my time? I think working on and enabling your employees is really important. And secondarily, it's really understanding, make sense of the data. We said it earlier, GDPR is important, yes, but that is not the end all be all. The end all be all really is how can I make best use of the data? And GDPR is part of my journey to get there. And avoid lock-ins. I mean, for us, it's really important to keep companies open-minded, so that they have the ability to change, because we don't know what the next big strategy, the next big technology is going to be. So we need to have the ability to have some level of, let me call it, data portability, in lack of a better word, to give our customers this future-proof engine to go where the market needs to go.
Great. I completely agree. There's a level of modularity people are expecting. Well, yeah. Rolf, appreciate you taking the time with us today. Obviously, really good insight. I like the topics we covered. It's unfortunate I don't get to see you in your own city, but maybe you'll get to Austin, or I'll get to the Bay Area again, and we'll have a chat in the coming months. I know I actually have my first business trip, and since the lockdown started, I'll be going out in the middle of July so far, to go visit a customer in person. So it's interesting times. Stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy your runs, and I'll talk to you real soon, Rolf.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate the conversation. Everybody, wash your hands, wear your face mask, be safe, be healthy, be sane.
Thanks.
Guys, bye-bye.
Bye.